Hello, my name is Rob Edwards. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And so Doctor Who's over, and I have gotten into the habit recently of doing a video a week about Doctor Who. And at the end of each of my videos, I go, and if you want to see more about me and Doctor Who, click over there. And if you want to see more about me as a writer, click over there. And it occurs to me I really haven't done as much with my YouTube channel about my writing as I'd really intended. In fact, this year as a whole so far has been a bit lackluster on the writing front. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've written some blog posts for my sort of day gig. I've done a load of editing for my novel, so that's ready to go out later in the year. But in terms of actually putting new words on a page for fiction, for writing, for the thing that I love doing, I actually haven't done a great deal of it this year. So I want to break that habit and I want to get back into writing. So what I'm going to do is I've got this thing, Arty Games by Jazza, who has a big art YouTube channel. And on this thing, it gives us prompts for characters and environments and places like that, with the intent to be drawing them. But I'm going to use this as not, to create anything really wonderful or amazing, but I'm going to use these as sort of hour-long writing prompts just to get back into putting words on a page. And I'm going to see what this generates, and then I'm going to write for an hour, and then I'm going to read to you what I wrote in that hour based on that prompt. Is this a good video idea? I genuinely don't know at this stage. We'll find out at the end of it all. Now, one thing that I wanted to do was to actually set up a few ground rules before I generate the random character that I'm going to write about. I don't want to get hung up on worrying about naming things, because that always takes me forever. If I've only got an hour to write, I don't want to spend 20 minutes that going, should I call him Jeff or should I call him Steve? So before I see anything, before I see whatever the Arty Games app is going to provide for me, I'm going to come up with the names of two characters, a man and a woman, a brother and a sister, and a location that they can be in. And basically, so whatever the prompt gives me, I should be able to write about one of those characters using those names, not have to worry about having to come up with something new. And I have spent more time than you might think coming up with the sample names I'm going to use. And the sample names I'm going to use are Toby Thatcher and Natalie Thatcher. And the place that they're going to live is going to be a place called Kesham. I like Kesham as a name because it could be a small England country village, or it could be an alien world. So it could be either of those, and so whatever the prompt gives me, I should be able to work with that. So here is my very first attempt, my inaugural attempt at a strand of my YouTube channel, which I am delightfully calling Toby or Natalie Thatchers of Kesham. I'm so sorry. Oh dear. Anyway, here we go. Single game in the Arty Games app, and I'm going to do a character challenge which uses both the character and the scenario are going to be options for me here. So let's hit go and see what we get. Okay. I'm going to be writing a story about an entertainer that never stops crying with a long cloak. It is now 11:10 in the morning where I am in Finland, so I am going to write for an hour, and then I'm going to read you what I wrote. Here goes. An entertainer who never stops crying and has a long cloak. This feels like a Toby Thatcher story. Okay, so Toby Thatcher is an entertainer who never stops crying and has a long cloak. So I'm about the halfway mark here. I mean, I've written 300 words, so not very much, but I've written something. But I just feel I need to mix things up a little bit now. So I've done some scene setting with Toby and his sister, but now I feel I need to introduce another character. So let's go back to the app and see what it can give me to spice up the end of our piece here. I'm not going to call it a story because I don't know whether it will actually reach an end as such. But let's have a look. Okay. Interesting. Well, it could fit in. What we have extra to include into the story now is a famous singer that eats donuts who's wearing a vest. Yeah, okay. And there we go, that's an hour's writing done. It feels good actually to have actually sort of made the time and got there and put my fingers on the keyboard. I'm going to read this to you now. I don't, for any reason, expect this to be the next big thing. This is not a work of genius or art or any grand endeavour. This is just a little bit of a getting back into the habit of writing exercise. So, I'm going to read it to you. I am. But just, make sure you set those expectations. Here we go. I really enjoyed this. I might do this again next week if people like it. If you do like it, give us a thumbs up. Fantastic. Anyway. Apologies, I'm going to be looking down at my notes now rather than the camera, but here we go. Toby tweaked the curtain aside a fraction and peered out into the dim hall. There was quite a crowd. More than he'd expected, really. When he'd booked the village hall to debut his new act, he hadn't expected people to turn up. He'd been very careful not to do things like tell people about it, to avoid that very possibility. He'd really rather hoped to have an empty hall to play to, or at the very worst, Jeff and his dog sheltering from the rain. Instead, there must have been 30 people scattered amongst the rows of plastic seating, chattering amongst themselves, sounding excited. One of them pointed towards the stage and the crack in the curtains. Toby jerked his hand away and let the curtain fall back into place. "I can't do this," he muttered. And here we go, right on schedule. His sister Natalie. A long time ago, she'd been his most stalwart supporter, badgering him to take the show public. When Toby had had his first successes, Natalie had been there to cheer him on. She'd handled the business side of things so he could concentrate on being creative. Toby's success was as much down to Natalie's hard work as his. "Keep your voice down," Toby hissed. "They'll hear you." "They bought tickets for a performance. If you're not going out there, we should give them something to listen to." "You sold tickets." In the beginning, Natalie would have been wearing jeans and a show t-shirt, but with success, she'd turned to more formal business wear, the sort that didn't crease badly when she folded her arms and gave Toby her look. Like now. "This is a business, Toby." "Are you crying?" "No." Toby wiped the back of his hand across his face. "This wasn't what I wanted." "If he doesn't go on, I could always do a set." Natalie's husband, Mike. They'd met at a working man's club in Wigan during Toby's third tour. Mike was a singer, touted as the next Elvis in his youth. Now he just followed Natalie and Toby around, eating the hospitality. Mike took a large bite of a donut and jam spilled down his shirt. "Not now," Natalie snapped. "People are here for a show," Mike said, wiping his sugary fingers on his jeans. "Let's give 'em something." He picked up his guitar and strode onto the stage, his gut wobbling as he walked. Toby wiped his eyes again, this time from relief. "Thanks, Mike." "No problem, my man. What's family for, eh?" With practiced confidence, Mike placed the microphone stand centre stage and struck a pose. He leaned into the mic and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat for you tonight. Live on stage in the Kesham Village Hall, Thatcher Entertainment is pleased to present Michael, K. Woolley. Mike nodded, and Toby pulled the curtain line. The audience gave a polite, if somewhat confused, round of applause as Mike began his set. "There, you see? Problem solved," Toby said in a hushed whisper. He dabbed his eyes with a tissue. It was all going to be okay now. "You can't keep doing this," said Natalie. Her voice was softer than before, a note of real concern. "I know Dundee was difficult for you. Nobody was saying it isn't. But you have to get out there. People want to see what you do. It's been 3 years. People are going to forget you." "Perhaps that's what I want. Dundee wasn't just difficult, Nat. I don't know if I can come back from something like that." Natalie winced as Mike hit another bad note. "If you can't do it for you, do it for me. Do it for Mike. We have to get him off stage." The crowd was starting to boo. It was quite a noisy sound for 30 people. "I don't know. What if it happened again?" Natalie wrapped his long cloak about his shoulders. "It won't. Come on, Toby. I have faith in you. Just a small one. Nobody's expecting you to do anything major in a village hall. I have missed it. The stage, the people. You have a gift, Toby. The world misses it. It misses you. Get out there and remind people who you are." She smiled at him. She hadn't smiled at him since Dundee. "Okay." Toby wiped another tear away, squared his shoulders. He trailed his long cloak onto centre stage. "Thanks, Mike. That was wonderful." Mike bowed to the audience's boos and bustled off stage. Toby looked out into the crowd, took a moment to revel in that familiar feeling of being at the centre of attention. He had missed it. Truly he had. "Well then, time to begin." Toby summoned the first demon of the night. There we go. So there we go. That was an hour's worth of writing with the prompt from the Arty Games. I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun with it. It's a bit of a silly bit of a nothing really sort of story, but I hope you enjoyed the process and listening to the result. That's it from me today. If you want to see more about me being a writer, check the box over here. If you want to find out about me and geekery stuff in general, check the box over there. And there is a subscribe somewhere on screen. If you really did like that, let me know. Give me a like. Cheers.